I'm Michael Polozola with the LSU Ag Center, Extension Fruit and Nut Specialist, and right now we're back in the blackberry planting looking at future prunings and trainings you need to do in the primocane suppression method to get them established on the trellis after your initial choosing of your primocane. So we're revisiting the blackberries that we've pruned a few weeks ago, and you need to do maintenance cut. This really needs to be done weekly and go through and make the different cuts that are required. What we're going to look at this one is putting out nice laterals. The laterals are naturally going to want to go upward, and then they'll get enough weight that will pull them down a little bit, but you want to have them secured to the trellis, because if not, you can get a windstorm that can break them off if they be a bit long like this. So a thunderstorm could really rattle it. The other thing you want to do is they will continue to try to push upward from where you have it on the trellis here. I go and prune the top out of it like that, because if you were to let this grow, it will grow here at the expense of wanting to put out laterals. So as far as this goes, you just kind of attach it here with your, however you're going to do it to the trellis. You can use either these tree bands or you can use green nursery tape. Both work really well. But you do need to go and do this fairly regularly. At this stage, we don't have to worry about how far they're going. Later in the season, we will need to keep them from going too far into the neighboring plants. But right now, we're just trying to get them to grow along until they meet their neighbors at the neighbor's trunk there. And now we have them secured much safer. If we get a thunderstorm, this is going to hold out fairly well and don't have to worry about it breaking up. So the whole name of this training method is called primocane suppression. So what we've done is once we've gotten the two primocanes that we want, it will continue to try to put more primocanes out at the crown. But we need to keep these suppressed, because what will happen is if we let this go, it will try to grow up and be more bushy instead of pushing the laterals we want on the trellis. So you do have to come through and prune out new growth that's going to be coming up from the base once you have your two established that you want trained for the next year. Another important strategy with pruning on these is ensuring that you keep the canes free on both of them up to the 3-foot wire. So we don't want all this lateral growth here. One, it's not going to be convenient to pick any fruit. But two, it also is more susceptible to splashback fungal diseases. So what happens is rain hits the ground, particles can splash up, and these can start to look not very pretty and get diseases on it. But if you keep them cleared and pruned off, that's not an issue. It also pushes growth further upward, which is where we want it to be. And on both of your canes, you're going to want to keep them nice and clear, definitely up to the 3-foot wire. For the one that goes up to the 5-foot wire, you're also going to want to eventually have its base clear. But this is what they should look like throughout the growing season. Is you should constantly go through and remove any that are going to come out. They will constantly try to put out more, so about once a week just go through and prune out any that you have coming out of these nodes. Another thing we need to consider is, even though I want lateral growth later in the season, because that's where a lot of my blackberries are going to come from, if I let it get too established early on before I get the length on my canes that I want, they'll focus more on this growth rather than growing here. So ultimately, I want this long cordon cane to go all the way to the base of its neighboring plant. So I need to go through and prune these off so that it will grow long. Later in the season, once it's firmly established, I will let some of these stay so that there's plenty of fruit next season. But for right now, it's preventing me from getting more of the growth I want. Because especially right here, you can see where this is going to get long and compete with it. So I need to cut that off so this guy can continue to grow all the way to here. Now, mistakes do happen. You can see where I got a little overly enthusiastic and accidentally cut what would have gone this way. And that's the other reason I want to prune any of these lower out, because I'm trying to encourage it to put another shoot up somewhere between here that I can train going onto that direction. And the moral of that story is mistakes do happen in pruning strategies, but normally they can be corrected if you do your pruning on time or early enough. There still should be plenty of time for me to be able to get a shoot and train it here and have a fruitful cane on this trellis by the end of the season.